Hello, can I start?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, good evening everyone. I am Sadaf and now I will take up the session from here. So now I would like to invite our next speaker, Amit Bansal, who will be talking about RPA in finance. So let me give you a quick intro of him. Amit Bansal is from Wipro. He is a visionary and goal-oriented senior technology leader with 20 years of recognized IT experience with the strategy formulation and leading delivery at portfolio, managing program at global level, leading high-performance team influencing 65,000 colleagues spread across 98 countries. He is driving digital transformation strategic programs by evaluating business opportunities and implementing them across business vertical with exceptional governance. Beside this also, he played as an relationship manager accountable for IT service of over 9,000 colleagues pan-India. Prior to joining Wipro, he was part of TCS working in US for one of their client gaining business for the organization in form of client engagement manager. We welcome you, sir, and now over to you. You can start the session.
Thank you so much for giving this an opportunity. Thanks, Abhinav. Thanks, everyone here. Can you hear me loud and clear before I go and get started?
Yes, yes, you are very clear. Go ahead, Amit.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks for the nice introduction. It really just give me a second. Do you have the control?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's let me know. Thank you. Give you a quick update here. So I started my overall journey in automation somewhere in the year 2001. It all started with the test automation, wherein we had Windrunner, QTP, and Silk Test in Mac OS. Those were the tools at that point in time where we started using those. And those were all pretty much based for doing your normal development testing work. So once the development is being done, it typically goes into testing, as you're aware. And we use those tools to optimize it further. We used to automate all the regression suits, and then we did the functional automation. The journey still continued ahead, and then we started to look into more opportunities from a business perspective, wherein we have business processes, and we started to use those tools. So we used to work together with the business, work hand in hand to understand their overall end-to-end processes. We found a lot of opportunities there, wherein people were working on the same kind of task day in day out, and they were being just feeded as bots. They were being told to refer to an SOP, perform a set of steps, and that's it. That was the end of the day for them. So we found there is a lot of opportunity here. We started using few tools, which were the test automation tools at that point in time. That this is somewhere around 2008, which I'm referring to. We started using QTP at that point in time. We deployed it into processes, and we started gaining a lot of opportunities there. We could see the tools were driving, and businesses were able to use it very frequently. Then we gradually moved ahead. We started using different RPA tools like UiPath. We even used Blue Prism, and there were many of them. We had a lot of homegrown applications which we used in the RPA technology. That is how the overall journey for transformation evolved for me. And I had done a lot of automations, RPA implementations, AI implementations in different verticals. Finance is one of them. I had done a lot of things in health and welfare solutions, HR, BPO, a lot of things in the technology portfolio as well. And besides that, I am a master in computer applications. I've even done my MBA in marketing management, and I have done a lot of professional certifications, including PMP, program management certifications, and a lot of others from US and UK. Besides this, I am right now pursuing course from Stanford and Harvard University in the field of artificial intelligence. So I believe it is more important for you to be on track, keep on learning the new technology which are coming in the market, and be ready for anything which is there. And consider the kind of role which I am playing here, it becomes very imperative for me to lay a good vision for the organization, for the teams to understand how we should drive our RPA solutions. It keeps on evolving day by day. So you need to just have sync with the real-time market and then move from there. Apart from that, I had managed a lot of global programs, which had a lot of influence, a lot of clients. We had implemented a lot of automation programs for many clients across different geographies, and they have been a lot of success overall. And we have been able to save a lot of dollar savings as well in terms of overall year-to-year, end-to-end savings. We usually do ROIs before we initiate any program, and that is how it goes. So this has been a fantastic journey, and I really like to be part of the same. And right now, I'm working on many other automation portfolios. We have a lot of stringent targets. We have a target of more than 200 FT save in this financial year. So it's all automation, a lot of challenges, and really fun. Moving ahead, I'll quickly talk about RPA. I'll not spend a lot of time here, and then we'll quickly jump into the finance world. So RPA, as you all are aware, this is more into the automation of business processes which are being used. And we try to find opportunities where we can perform the task 24 across 7 for the business, which can result in a lot of good savings. And at the same time, it also improves the overall quality of the results which we are trying to influence and provide to the clients. If I tag it to the real-time scenarios, in typical finance world, if it say we refer to the bank statements, we refer to the balance sheets, we refer to the P&L accounts. So those are definitely there. But at the same time, basis my understanding and my stint with finance teams here in my organization, there were two broad categories where I could clearly classify them. One is finding an opportunity where we can influence the existing processes, fine tune them, and make sure that we are running those processes more exhaustively and more efficiently than the humans are in order to result better end of the day time commitments, better quality, and thereby engage more clients. That actually increases your client base. The business becomes more happy with quick and efficient results. So that is one area where we go and venture. And then the other opportunity which we feel is whenever there is a problem in the business scenarios, they typically try to find solutions. And one of the good way of finding solutions is through RPA. These are the two core things, and I'll be talking more in the coming slides. And I'll typically focus on these two areas because these are one of the core areas where we have a lot of things happening on the real world. And I've just said finance typically has a lot of work streams. We have contract setups. We have timely acquiring of processes for financial records. All the invoice processing happens. All the payment processes happens, and everything needs to be done on time, and it has to be very, very precise. Just so that you can relate, your paychecks. So we always expect the paychecks to be running us and coming to our bank accounts every first of month. If there are delays, then we have direct implications. And at the same time, in case there is some mistake, some calculation mistake going on in there, then it impacts your overall account. A simple zero, if less or more, can impact your overall bank statement. So finance from that perspective is very critical. In the nature, it has to be 100% precision. We cannot compromise even a single dollar here and there. Therefore, all the processes have to be processed on time with the utmost accuracy. And that is where the automation plays a very important role. Humans, as you are all aware, we tend to do some mistakes, which is kind of natural. But at the same time, once we automate our system, we have all the bots and the other things in place. This system works seamlessly fine. So I'll be focusing more on two things, which I just talked about. The first is an overall model. So before I get into the automation way, let me take you to the journey of how the manual process was being set up. And this was, believe me, a very difficult situation for us, considering the kind of deadline which we had, the kind of overall implications which we had for the business. The scenario here is, as this is all of the US. So all the contract setups which are coming in from varied clients across geographies are being fed into the contact center. The contact center is in US. They actually fax those documents, scan those documents, and send it to a central repository. And the people here in India, they go back and fetch those documents from the repository. They create the contracts which are mentioned in the overall forms which are being scanned through, and then they are injected into a system which is Lotus Notes. The values are then being processed as per the business SOPs. and then are finally being integrated into the PeopleSoft. PeopleSoft is another tool which manages the entire finance workflow system there. And then once that is being fed out, it is being validated whether the information is right or wrong. In case it is wrong, the necessary actions are again taken, and in case it is correct, then it is moved ahead for final processing. That is how the overall process played. We went into this. We found that there was a lot of opportunities. This team was more than 25 people when we started this journey, and there was a lot of repetitive tasks. For example, as I just said, there were forms which were being fed into the system every 5 a.m. in the morning for us. People in the morning used to come and look into those forms. It was standard forms. People used to refer to that, enter the values into the Lotus notes, and it all used to happen. We found that there's a lot of opportunity where we can do a task management allocation here. Uh, in a typical scenario, there are situations when people take offs. For example, if you have 1,000 forms to be processed, and in case 5 of your people are gone out of 20, then you're left with just 15 people. And that becomes a little critical in nature because you need to process all those 1,000 forms on a daily basis. It has financial implications and penalties to it. So one is we were planning, we in fact implemented a workflow management system, an automated workflow system, wherein we took all these forms and created tasks for those people who were there on the floor for that particular day. We implemented few NLP logics here, wherein we extracted the information from those forms. We baked it into the Lotus notes, and then we had the bots running across the long time for us. It used to fetch up all the information which was being put there. It used to do the validation between the Lotus notes, which was the source system, and the PeopleSoft, which was the finance, which was the final system. It used to validate the information at its end. It used to see which is right, which is wrong. For all the processes which are right, it used to move ahead and do the necessary payment processing in the system itself. And then for where they were able to find the differences, it fed into the manual way, wherein we required human intervention. The people used to go back and look into the invoices to see in case there is anything mismatched. And then for those exception scenarios, those were being processed manually. While we were doing all these things, it made it very imperative for the system to have a very clear listing of how the processes were working day by day, hour by hour, to get the exact nature of how many processes were involved on a particular day, how many are being processed hour by hour, how many bots are running, what is the health of the bots. All those things were clearly outlaid in a dashboard. And that is a real-time dashboard which is being published and being put on the business floor where all the finance people are sitting so that they can clearly see how the processes are following for that particular day. So that is where I'm talking about the real-time dashboard here. It also gives you the bot status. It is important for the technology team to understand how many bots are live. In case their bots are going down, in case the orchestrator is down, then we need to go back and do the right corrective actions. I talked about the exceptional scenarios. These are those where the bots are able to find out there were gaps between the source and the final systems. It was being handled manually. And then once we end the day, probably at every night around 11:40, we used to go back and clean that particular day's repository and make it up and running for the next day. So this process actually helped us in yielding over 3,20,000 saves in a year. Let me just go back there. That was the overall ROI which we generated. We were able to save more than 15 FTEs. So out of a team of 20, we were able to release 15 FTEs and deploy it to some other process. We just left 5 people there. And if I talk about now, I believe there are not more than 2 people who are monitoring this end-to-end process. So this overall RPA process is working seamlessly fine for more than 6 months now. There are no issues. It is in support, and people are really enjoying this stuff. This was one of the areas where we ventured into the process, looked for opportunities, implemented the process, generated the saves, made sure the finance process keeps running 24/7 without any errors, any issues, and with utmost quality. Moving to a second problem statement. This was very interesting, I'll say. Reason being, there were a lot of business implications which were there in this part of problem statement. So this was not an opportunity where we actually went and looked for. Rather, it was more of a problem area where the business himself came back to the RPA team and looked for solutions. The problem statement here was there were a lot of emails which were flowing in from multiple clients across different geographies, and there were different mailboxes which were being configured. People at the back end are aligned to multiple mailboxes on which they work. So every client has its own set of SOPs, their own set of procedures which they work along. For example, UK has a different norm. Similarly, US have a different norm. So though the processes were being executed in the backend of PeopleSoft, but at the same time, there were many requests which were coming in through emails. And since the frequency of those emails were huge, people used to get not less than 100 mails per client every day. It became very difficult for the overall business to keep a track of all those emails, to make sure all those things are getting monitored, getting tracked in a logical form, and being replied back to the client with the results day on day. There were a lot of escalations coming in from the business, from the clients directly. Reason being, there were scenarios where the mails were being missed, timely responses were not given to the clients, they were delayed in reply from the business. At times, as people were on leave, timely reply was not given back to the clients, which led into the penalties, which led into SLA breaches. So a lot of things were being messed up there, and there was a huge risk that the overall business of finance would have been gone, and thereby it became very imperative for the business to look for correcting those situations. We jumped in there to help the overall situation. We implemented a few things here. It was not just the bots which were being deployed to work here. We created a system wherein we managed all the emails which were coming in through a workflow management tool. We integrated the workflow management tool directly with the Outlook, wherein all the mails were coming for different clients. We made sure all those emails flowed into the system, and we made the system set up in such a way that when you are communicating over an email on your Outlook, all the information was getting translated into the tool. So moving forward, people were not required to even go into the Outlook. The day you come into the office, you log into the workflow management tool. You will automatically start getting all the tasks which are assigned as per your client management mailbox. You refer to that, you start working on it, and start replying back to the same using the same workflow management tool. And it automatically used to generate emails at the backend. It used to communicate to the clients, and that is how it all started flowing out. Then we implemented bots to make sure all the processes which you're executing for are being judiciously done. So all the task management, just as I said, in case people are on leave, you'll not be able to handle the entire load. So we implemented bots there, irrespective of the fact, even if you're 70% of the colleagues that are not available for that particular day, the bots will be there to carry out the activities. We implemented NLP logic there because reading the mails can't be done by human. So we implemented NLP, we implemented OCR as well to start reading the content which are coming in through the mails. There were a few attachments as well in terms of images. We started to use those. We implemented OCR to start reading those images, understand that context, and then replying back to the clients over the emails, and at the same time taking the necessary actions which were required to execute the entire end-to-end process. This was a very interesting portfolio altogether. And the most important fact and most interesting thing which kind of outlaid out of this was the integration of Outlook and using of NLP. That paved way for us to a lot of automations here. As I speak, there are not less than 10 integrations which are happening with Outlook. And at the same time, we are running a lot of things in the health and welfare domain where we are using NLP. We are going through different paychecks, trying to read the content of it. We are trying to go through the contract and see how those are being set up. We even go into the invoices, start reading through the invoices, check whether the payment has been done or not. If yes, we go ahead and update the overall inventory and say that yes, this has been executed. If not, then it goes back in the system. People take the necessary action to go and process it, and the paychecks are being generated. So this was more about handling a problem statement, thinking of a solution of how you can go back and meet the requirements here, understand the problem commitment, and suggest some solutions of how you can manage it. With this implementation, we were able to definitely save the business. And we even got till such an extent that we are now receiving receiving appreciation mails from those clients who were earlier escalating those things because of the timely replies which we are making to them. We are seeing a lot of happy emails, thank you emails coming from the businesses. We have even got more clientage added to the normal base of the team. So this is absolutely fantastic. So in these two scenarios, team, I have tried to cover a broader aspect of how we can use RPA in different areas. One was by improving the processes, trying to eradicate and improve the overall turnaround time. And then we talked about the overall problem statement where we understand that, think through a solution, design that solution, and start using it. And when we go and implement all these situations, one thing which is very important for everyone to understand here is these automations definitely are helpful, but at the same time, while we deploy it into production, we typically have a hypercare period. A hypercare is typically a period where we leave the business and the automation solution to be used for around 1.5 months so that they start using it, they get used to it. And in case of any issues, they can go back and report to us. And that is a period where it overall stabilizes. And after 1.5 months, we kind of get a sign off from the business saying that yes, it's working seamlessly fine. There are no major issues. And then they go live and then they start working on releasing the team members and start deploying them to different other projects. And that is overall, I'll say, a cyclic approach which happens for every project. I'll just pause here for any questions.
Hi, Amit. Yeah, thank you. It was a great, and insightful session. I do have two questions actually.
Sure.
Abhinav here. So, Amit, first is you have a very extensive experience in RPA in finance sector specifically. Okay, so is there any tool in your opinion that is best suited for finance? Maybe because of its capability to handle the diverse documents, or maybe it is because it can handle huge amount of volume. But is there any specific RPA tool that you would say, okay, this is best suited for finance and financial industry?
So there is no one single tool which I can say which can be the best. However, from my experience, we have been using UiPath as one of the tools which
Okay.
handles a lot of data. So it has capabilities of handling thousands of records in a single day. It typically actually depends on how many bots you are deploying. And it also depends upon the overall server's sizing which you have at the back end. That becomes very important. And then while I say it also depends upon how the overall volume of information is flowing. So there are processes which I have seen where information flows at multiple times during the day. So in that case, you might not deploy, let's say, 20 bots at a time. So you might have 5 bots deployed at different time intervals. But in situations where you have the entire repository to be managed at the start of the day and you have very stringent SLAs, for example, I had projects wherein they wanted to execute everything by 10:30 a.m. in the morning. So we deployed a lot of bots in the morning, which started executing at 5 a.m. and everything was completed by 10:30. So in those situations, you have a lot of bots being deployed. And once those are being done, we actually go into a second phase after implementing the process where we optimize the bot usage. We try to find out opportunities of how we can reduce the bot usage as well, because bots again cost to the organization. So that is one of the tools which we had used. Then we had our own in-house tools created internally, which handle the entire workflow management of having the tasks created, getting them distributed to the different colleagues. Thereby the colleagues start taking the responsibility of going and working. When I say colleagues, that does not make just the human colleagues. It can even be the bots. So we create tasks which can be picked up either by the humans or by the bots, and thereby they execute the process.
Right. I was actually thinking of more in terms of a tool and process suite. For example, in like financial industry, there a lot of time we use Citrix applications, right?
Mhm,
Now,
mhm.
Citrix application was a bit hard to deal with, and in that sense, I was trying to ask the question. So, is UiPath something that can
Mhm.
easily handle the Citrix applications, or how is it?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a good question. Thank you so much for asking it. We are actually, I actually deployed the entire Citrix in my organization. We had moved the entire colleague base to Citrix. We were earlier working on native Windows application. Now we are using Citrix as a front end. And then we had a lot of opportunities to see which tools would actually work in Citrix. So UiPath was one tool which works on Citrix. If I talk about automation anywhere, we face challenges. Similarly, a couple of other tools were being evaluated. So Citrix was coming up as a challenge for many of them, but UiPath is working seamlessly fine in Citrix. So
Okay,
if
that's
anyone wants to go into Citrix, whether it is finance or any other domain, I think you can go ahead.
okay. That's great. Second thing is, have you ever tried like a sentiment analysis kind of thing where maybe bot is gauging the sentiment of incoming email because something is late or something like that, uh, and responding it accordingly.
Absolutely. So this is the problem statement which you are seeing right now on the screen that actually handle the sentiment part as well. So let me just give you a little example and background here. For example, if two people are communicating to each other, for example, if you and me are talking, we typically start with a mail of introducing to ourselves. Then we get into the intricacies specifically about the work. And then at the end of the day, once everything is completed, after probably 10, 15 exchanges of email, we end up by a thank you. Or in case it doesn't work, then we kind of use different verbiage when we say we need this to be completed by so and so time, or this might have such and such penalty and all that stuff. So we had actually implemented NLP logic there where we could extract these words and try to make sense out of it. So earlier, whenever we used to get a plethora of emails, we used to segregate them whether these are the actual related work mails or are these normal exchanges of behavior between people. It can be a sorry, a thank you, and anything of that kind. So we used to segregate those kind of stuff and we used to handle those separately. Vis-a-vis all the work related. So yes, NLP actually helped us really well in that scenario. And we were able to identify what all the clients are appreciating the work which was being completed on time, vis-a-vis how many are being escalating things.
All right, great, great. That was very insightful, Amit. Thank you.
Okay. Any other thing from anyone? I actually don't have anything else because I wanted to have a little short deck created here. I usually go into presentations where we have a lot of information, but at the end of the day, people just go back and don't have a lot of things where they can keep in their mind. So I've kept it very short, crisp, and left it more for discussions.
Actually, Amit, we wanted to have a larger audience, but I got a lot of this thing from my audience saying that can we have a recording later on because for some reason or other they are not able to join in.
Mhm.
Some people somewhere said, okay, things are closing down because of COVID and some.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, but we'll be. I think we are asking each speaker permission to publish it in our YouTube channel.
Mhm.
I guess we'll be publishing it then and there also. So yeah, thank you a lot, Amit, for taking out your precious time, today and sharing all this with us.
Yeah, I'd like to thank everyone here. Thanks, Abhinav, especially to you for giving me an opportunity to come into this platform and share my experiences. In case anyone wants to reach out to me, I have the coordinates mentioned here. This is my email ID and this is my mobile number. You can refer and call me anytime. I'll be more than happy to share my experiences with this group. And and in this entire pandemic, I'll definitely want to give all the blessings and let's make sure that we all stay safe and keep our families safe because this is a different threat which we are all observing these days.
Yes, Amit, I wish to do the same and
Thank you
thank.
so much, sir. Thank you all for attending this event. You have a wonderful audience. I would also like to thank